England have done it. They're in the semi-finals of the World Cup. That's the good news. The bad news is that so are France, Spain, and Argentina. In this video, we're going to cover both of those semi-finals. Tuesday at 8 PM is the first one. France against Spain. Not bad, is it? And then a day later, England face Argentina, a rematch of the knockout game from 1998 where Sir David Beckham was sent off. Here we have the flags of all the nations that are in the semi-finals of the World Cup, and what I'm going to do now is rank them by the probability that I believe they have of winning the World Cup, the chances in my mind, and I want you to do the same in the comments if you want to, of course. I'm going to do it in 1, 2, 3. There we go, and I think the top choice will be many people's top choice, France to win the World Cup essentially. I give them the highest probability, no doubt about that. And then Spain. I know they're playing each other, but still, they are my second favourite to win the World Cup. Argentina third, and then England fourth. And I have England fourth because in my mind they've not been good enough as of yet. And I know that sounds crazy given that we're in a semi-final, but against Congo, against Mexico, and against Norway, certainly we rode our luck at times. We offered so much of the ball to the opponents. Norway should have scored another goal or two. They can count themselves a little bit unlucky. If we did not have Jude Bellingham in the last couple of games, where would we be? The answer, I think, is back in the UK. So do you agree with this ranking? France, Spain, Argentina, and England. What would your order be? Can England scrape through again? I'd take it, don't get me wrong, and I do think we can beat Argentina given the number of minutes Argentina have played recently and the performances as well that they've put in. Certainly not vintage. Do you have the top two another way around? Let us all know in the comments. So France against Spain is the first semi-final that we're going to cover. If you want to check out the England preview, just fast forward the video. I won't be offended, don't worry. I'm also the person that's covering the England game in the future when you fast forward. So looking at France here, the thing that stands out is, of course, they've won every game in the World Cup. They have not needed extra time as well, which could be vital once we get to the final, because if it is England or it is Argentina that plays them, especially Argentina, they've played a lot of minutes recently. And it was a wonder strike, wasn't it, by Julian Alvarez that got them over the line against 10-man Switzerland. Now, in terms of the aggregate scoreline across the competition, France are leading 16-2, so adding up all their goals and their goals conceded. For Spain, it is 11-1. They have been, I mean, you could say much better defensively, but the truth is they've conceded just one goal fewer than France. So whilst everybody was praising Spain and their incredible, unbreachable defence, which finally was breached against Belgium, France have only conceded one goal more. Mbappé is currently one of the favourites for the Golden Ball along with Messi, but I do think Mbappé is edging it at this moment in time given the opponents you could say that France have had to play. I think they've played tougher opponents than Argentina thus far, and Mbappé can score in any moment. There is no doubt about that, and that is one thing that I think the French will need to do is take their chances better than they did against Paraguay. Against Morocco they were much more clinical. But in this game, you would expect Spain to have more of the ball. As we can just check out the possession data, only Turkey, and of course they've only played 3 games, but only Turkey in the competition have had more of the ball than Spain. 65% on average, France just under 60%. Who's going to have more of the ball in this one? Who's going to try and control this game? If you believe games are won and lost in midfield, as a lot of people do believe, I think Spain will control this game, but that doesn't mean France can't hit Spain on the break or on the transition from winning the ball back in good areas as they can. I can see this being a pretty exciting game. And if we look at the current price, the bookies are finding it difficult to call. Now, just based on what I've seen in the competition, and I say that because Spain can always up it. They've got the players that can just up it in a moment, no doubt about that. as can France, but from what we've seen in the competition, 2.45 for France to win after 90 minutes is an appealing price. Now, our own probability model is favouring Spain, 41.5% chance of winning the game. Now, just checking out the card data because cards have been hit and miss. Some referees certainly keeping their cards in their pockets this tournament, and we can see here, this kind of tells the picture of the games as well. The opponents of France not being booked too much because of the way France dominate the ball, whereas Spain's opponents are being booked on average 2 times per game. But look at the metric above there. Cards received per game, 0.83 per game for Spain and 0.67 for France. The card count has been reset, so a yellow card in this game will not mean you miss the final. I think that's great. Will it result in more cards though? Let us all know in the comments. Now we'll take a look at the tips section as well, and we see Spain to score offers a 3% edge, 1.36 are the odds, so the book is expecting Spain to score in this game. Coming into the competition, France had conceded in the majority of their games, and both teams to score, as we can see here, France have seen BTTS in 6 out of 10. For Spain, it's just 3 out of 10. But of course, they do not play teams with the quality of France that much. And we'll just jump back to France to see their goals scored data. We can see here 2 against Morocco, 1 against Paraguay. Then we get the big hitting games, 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 1, 3. They actually scored 3 or more goals in 5 successive World Cup games, which I believe put them as one of the only teams ever to do that. And for Spain, as we mentioned already, they conceded against Belgium, but that ended a run of 5 games without conceding a goal. But I can't see that happening against this French team. I would be very, very surprised if France do not score in this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. And speaking of comments, before we check out the football form guide, here is the winner from the previous episode. Well done to you. This was a fantastic prediction. I hope to see more of the same in the comments on this video for your chance to win Odd Alerts Pro and your name up in lights. So we're going to look at the football form guide for France and Spain. Let's take a look and see what we can find. So they've conceded a corner in every second half. There's been a second half goal in every game that they have played. They have scored a second half goal in every game that they have played. They've had 2 or more corners in the second half in 6 out of 6 as well. There's been 4 or more corners in each of those second half games. They've not conceded first. They've scored in every game. They are unbeaten, as you would expect. They've got the best goal difference, the best points per game. They've scored first in every game. Of course they have. They've had more shots than their opponents. More shots on target as well. They rank second for goals scored in the second half. I believe Norway rank first for that metric. Most goals to be scored in the second half has been seen in 5 of the 6 games that we're looking at here. And they've had more corners than their opponents in 5 of the last 6 games. And corners in general, 8 or more corners in 5 of the 6. Now then, looking at Spain, their games have seen at least 1 yellow card in the second half. Their opponents have been booked in every single one of those games as well. They too have had many first half corners just like France, and actually Spain have had 5 or more corners in every one of these games that we're looking at. They've not conceded after 70 minutes. They've not conceded first. They are top for dangerous attacks for, also unbeaten. They are slightly better than France in terms of the goals conceded. They've not been losing at halftime in any of those games. An interesting one here as it relates to offsides. We've had this on a couple of times in the tournament, of course. 19 times their opponents have been caught offside in the last 6 games. France have got some pacey wingers and some pacey strikers as well. How many times will they be caught offside in this semi-final? So looking at some player data before we put our predictions together, we have Mbappé with 19 shots on target so far. Oyarzabal, what a good player he is, just an all-round good player with 10 shots on target. Yamal, we all know about him. Doué, Dembele, Elise, Barcola, It's dangerous, isn't it? It's very dangerous when you read those French names. Mikel Merino, super sub, 3 shots on target. He's got 2 goals, hasn't he? Super sub indeed. Fernan Torres as well, put through Merino very well against Portugal. Great ball, great finish from Merino. Merino is a super sub, no doubt about that. In terms of fouls, Rabiot in the middle, no surprise to see him there. And this is where I think the game can be won or lost for Spain, because in the middle, I believe they are so much better technically than the French players. The French players got a good engine, but as I said in the previous videos, it is the weakest part of that French squad for me, no question. And then we do have a quartet of Spanish players here. Pedro Porro, 1.75 fouls per game, and he has a tricky night ahead of him. Both fullbacks do. We've got Cucurella there, averaging 1 foul per game. Luca Digne, who played in the previous game, didn't he? Surprised to see him, but he's steady. He does well for France. Rabiot, another one. He was a free agent for a while, wasn't he? And he's just still in the French squad. This is what I mean about these type of players, that they work well for the French squad. They give everything. They're not bad players. They put in a 7 out of 10 most games. But if Spain's midfield turns up, I do think they can control this game, and France will have to look to break on them, which could suit them, to be honest. So this is my first selection for the first semi-final of the World Cup. I'm going to put together 2. The first one here, just over 3s. BTTS, I cannot see a game where France do not score. But as I've mentioned in the preview, generally, I think Spain will look to win that battle in midfield, and I think they can dominate the ball, and it may suit France. The more open this game gets, the more it will suit France. And I think if Spain are going to dominate the ball, you also risk Spain scoring, of course, and they've got the players that can hurt France, no doubt about that. But if France are going to be playing on the counter and the transition, that's very, very scary for Spain. And also with France, as you can see, I've got them to qualify. I just think the longer this game goes on, the more likely it is that France are the team that qualifies, because they've got players from the bench that they can bring on to make a real difference. I know Spain have done that in recent rounds to great effect, but they've not been playing against France. And bringing Merino on is different to bringing on Cherki or Doué or Barcola or something like that. Real fresh legs that can run at defenders that are already knackered as the game ends or potentially goes into extra time. And then just following the data as well on the corners, both of these teams like to utilise set pieces, and over 6 corners in the game takes this to 3.1. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. The next one will include a couple of player options. So this one, I'm going to go with Pedro Porro to commit 2 or more fouls in this game. He committed 4 fouls in the previous game, and he's committed at least 1 foul in every game so far. We saw him near the top of the charts when we looked at the player data, and France have scored a goal in the second half in every World Cup game. They scored 3 in the second half against Senegal, 2 against Iraq, 1 against Norway, 2 against Sweden, 1 against Paraguay, and 2 in the second half against Morocco. And this one is 3.4. Let me know what you think will happen in this game in the comments for your chance to win. And my score prediction for this game, it is tricky, isn't it? I have to go with my pre-tournament prediction that France will get all the way to the final at least, and then hopefully England can beat them in the final. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for France. I don't think Spain concede many goals. I think they will control the ball in this one. But France, for me, I've said it every time we've covered them on this huge month of videos on the channel, I just can't look past those players at the top end of the pitch, and they have proved me right every time they've played. Even when they only just get over the line against teams like Paraguay, they're still battering them, and they're having shots from all over, and they're dominating possession. Not every team is like that. Not every team can get into those situations against a low block, but France, I would back them to beat anybody at this moment in time. For me, they are the best team in the competition, and it shows given the way they have played in the World Cup. So 2-1 to France, and they will be the first team in the final. What about you? Let us know in the comments. Now, Argentina against England. So England versus Argentina, Wednesday, 8 p.m. from Atlanta. The first World Cup knockout meeting since 1998, of course, and 40 years on from the hand of God. We've now got the cable of God, haven't we, as well, from the Norway game. England's 5 wins in the World Cup already equals the record from 1996. Of course, this is an expanded competition, so you've already got that extra game. I think if we win this game, that will count for something. Now looking at Argentina's results, because there are some interesting insights here and also some things you might not expect when we go to the next tab. They've gone to extra time in 3 out of 3 knockout games, and you may think that that's going to take its toll, that the players will be tired. But, and by the way, they should have probably beaten those 3 teams after 90 minutes. You would expect them to. They were 1-0 up against Switzerland. I thought in the Egypt game they were very, very lucky to win the game. Egypt, I thought, were fantastic on the break, and that could be a bit of a template for England, given that that's how a lot of England's goals have come, with those quick transitions. But anyway, yeah, 3 out of 3 games have gone to 120 minutes. Yet the highest player for minutes played outfield is Harry Kane. Harry Kane is the most used player combined when looking at both of these squads. 564 minutes. Emi Martinez and Jordan Pickford are the top 2 players, of course. And Argentina had the luxury of rotating heavily in that final group game where they could only finish top. It was against Jordan, wasn't it? They still won the game, but they rotated heavily, as you would expect. McAllister has played 539 minutes, Messi 530, Bellingham 514. And if we just go to the bottom of this list, could we see some of these players coming into the team and having an impact? Declan Rice, who was brought off at half-time against Norway, has played 388 minutes. Gordon just 327. Bukayo Saka, 266. Now, he's not fully fit, but is he being rested? Is he being monitored and taken care of so that he can play in games like this? Just 266 minutes played for Saka so far. And Morgan Rogers, who, got the assist for Bellingham's second goal with a snapshot, 169 minutes played for him. Could he have another big impact in this game? Now, taking a look at the current prize, 2.72 is the peak for England to win after 90 minutes. Can they do it? Can they get to a final of the World Cup? Argentina as high as 3.14 at this moment in time. And we look at England here and we see that the last 3 games have seen them concede. I think Norway should have scored more than once in that game, if I'm being honest. Mexico, if it wasn't for Jordan Pickford, would probably have played Norway. And Congo, we gave them far too much space. We needed Harry Kane to do his business at the end of the game. So I do think there's much room for improvement. And I said this before the Norway game, that England fans were riding the wave of emotion after that incredible performance in some aspects against Mexico. But if you've got to watch our goals, you've got to see the way we're scoring, and it might suit us in this game. But this is our biggest test, no doubt about that. Now to the football form guide for England's biggest game in recent history. We're going to take a look at Argentina first. The last 6 games. Every game has seen at least 1 goal in the second half. Every game has seen at least 2 goals. That is also true for England in the last 3 games. Argentina have scored 2 or more in each of the last 6 games. Of course, some of those games went all the way, didn't they? 120 minutes. Will this one go the same way? If it does, you would have to maybe favour England in that capacity, given 4 out of 4 games going 120 minutes for Argentina. We saw the minutes played by the players because they were able to rest against Jordan, but still mentally to have to go the distance in 4 out of 4 games, that would be pretty tricky for Argentina, I think. And we can see here they've been winning at half-time in 5 of those 6 games. Over 2 second-half cards in 5 of the 6 as well. And their opponents have been booked in the second half 9 times. Now, for England's data, we can see there's a trend with corners here. They've seen 10 or more corners in 5 of those 6 games. There was so many corners for Mexico, wasn't there, in that game at the Azteca? 8 or more corners has landed in 6 out of 6, incidentally. No goals conceded after 70 minutes. That's when he brings on Big Dan Burn, that's why. and they've scored 2 or more in 5 of the 6 games. Will there be goals in this one? Well, we'll take another look at the tips section, link in the description, of course. Argentina have gone over 2.5 goals in 8 of the last 10, and average 2.9 goals scored per game. For England, it is just 5 out of 10, and of course that leans back into qualifying where they played weaker teams and hardly conceded a goal, but the same was true for Argentina as well. They had a lot of clean sheets, but they were still scoring plenty of goals. Argentina to score at 1.43. I would not be surprised at all if England did concede again. As I say, I don't really feel confident given the performances as of late. If we can get past Argentina, as we have with the previous knockout games, I'd be absolutely ecstatic, don't get me wrong. But I don't like to watch the games where we just offer the opponent so much of the ball and we don't really have clear path to goal. We look good on the break, which I think we may have to do against Argentina at times. But can we just keep relying on Jude Bellingham to pull us out of it? Bellingham or Kane, they've scored all but one of our goals at the World Cup. The tips section is suggesting both of the teams to score individually. What do you think the chances are of BTTS landing in this one? Get your comments in, and whilst you do, I'm going to put together my predictions for this semi-final. So my first selection for this monumental game for England is 3.75. It is a bet builder here, and we can see over 3 corners for England in the game. Actually decent odds, 1.5. We've had this land in every single game, apart from the Mexico game where we had 2 corners up until that red card. And I'm sure if we did not get a red card in that game, because of the way the game went, the penalty straight away after the red card, we just then sat back and tried to protect the lead. We were never going to push forward and try and, get a corner, especially leading by 2 goals. So for England to continue that trend of getting corners, and incidentally, we had 8 against Croatia, 9 against Ghana, 7 against Panama, 5 against Congo, 4 against Norway. So I'm sure we can get a few at least against this Argentinian team. And then we have Pickford to make 2 or more saves. These can be routine saves. These can be acrobatic, fantastic saves, as we've seen in the competition so far. But Argentina are taking a lot of shots on goal. 22 against Switzerland, 19 against Egypt, 22 against Cape Verde, and then 12, 12 and 10 in the group stage. Now, of course, those first 3 games did go to extra time, but I would expect them to dominate the ball in this game if England continue to play the same way that they have. And both teams to score. I'm not confident in England's ability to keep a clean sheet. We haven't done it against worse teams than Argentina. Argentina have Messi. They have Martinez. They have Alvarez, who will be absolutely buzzing now. And they've got a pretty solid and dependable defence and midfield who does their job and gives it to those forward players as quickly as they can. Now, my second selection, I may have a third, we will see, but at the minute I'm still doing some research on the players, and of course I don't have the luxury of lineups. Most goals to be scored in the second half. England have been drawing at half-time in 67% of their World Cup games they've won, just once at half-time so far in the World Cup, and losing once as well at half-time. Now for Argentina, they are usually winning at half-time. We have seen that and mentioned it in many of our videos. But both of these teams also average more than 1 second-half goal across the World Cup. 1.83 for Argentina and 1.33 for England. England have scored 5 first-half goals compared to 8. So still a decent return in the first half. And they've scored some crucial goals, don't get me wrong, in the first 45 minutes. But I think this one is going to be a very tight game. And the bookies are thinking the same. If you just look at the odds for under 2.5 goals, under 3.5 goals, you will see that the bookies are expecting this one to be very, very tight. And for Argentina to have more shots in the game than England, I just think they've got more players that are willing to take a shot in the team when they get at the edge of the box. Whereas England, we've seen from the data of the players that have actually scored goals, only Rashford has scored a goal for England other than Bellingham and Kane. And those midfielders, when you look at them, Rice, Anderson, even Gordon, he's looking to go down the line and get it in the box to Kane or Bellingham. England conceded 13 shots against Norway, 20 against Mexico, 7 against Congo, 13 against Panama. 13 shots against us when we played Panama. 2 against Ghana. Ghana averaged, I think, half a shot on target per game, as it turned out. Really, really poor performance from them. And Croatia had 10 shots against us as well. And the way we're playing at the minute, as I say, I think we still need to improve the way we dominate the ball. Maybe we can. I hope we can. But I am just putting this together in expectation that things go the same way that they have, and we maybe improve marginally rather than we turn up and completely dominate this game. And my scoreline prediction for this one, I am going to go for 1-1. I'm leaving it into the hands of the players then. I don't want to predict who's going to win this game. 1-1, extra time. Who knows what happens after 90 minutes. Let me know what you think is going to happen in both of these semi-finals. If you are enjoying the content here, please do hit like, subscribe, and don't forget to add your predictions in the comments for your chance to win Odd Alerts Pro. And I will see you back here for the final. Whoever may be in that game. Let's hope it's England against Spain. I would rather play Spain. But as I say, I think it's going to be France against Argentina again.